Hello, and welcome everyone. Today's video features the work in progress Tier 9 Premium Italian cruiser Ferrante Gonzaga. Now, this ship is based on a hypothetical design of a light cruiser armed with advanced artillery systems that were under development in Italy in the late 1930s. The 135mm dual-purpose guns were also mounted on the Andrea Doria class of battleships and the Capitani Romani class of cruisers, while the 65mm anti-aircraft guns remained as prototypes. The ship's hull and architecture are similar to those of the Duca, degli, Abruzzi-class of cruisers. So this is the Ferrante Gonzaga. So let's start this preview guide with a quick look at the armor layout. Very lightly armored, as we can see immediately. 16mm for both upper and lower. A fore-end armor belt of 30mm. The deck armor is 16. The auxiliary room armor plating is 16. There is a layer of 30mm torpedo protection. This is also 16. The superstructure 13. Take off the torpedo protection. We can see the belt armor is 100mm. If we go take a deeper look at the ship's citadel, we can see it is quite significantly raised above the waterline. Athwartship 130, 100. The deck on the citadel is 40mm. The rear athwartship is 130 for athwartship, I mean to say. You can see significantly raised above the waterline, running from the front turret to the rear turret. Quite a large citadel. In terms of the guns, frontal plate of 60mm, side 30, top 30, and the rear plating is 30mm also. There is some additional plating here on the superstructure, 30mm. Conning tower gets 100mm, 30 and 30. So this ties in directly to the ship's survivability. 40,100 hit points with a torpedo protection damage reduction of 16%. We look at the consumables. This is boosted by having 4 repair parties. They can repair 240 hit points per second with a consumable action time of 28 seconds. This is using the India Delta signal flag, of course. These are the current upgrades I'm using. Nothing really out of ordinary, but just to help explain the build as we go through it. These are the captain skills I'm using. Again, nothing really out of the ordinary, just boosting consumables. And the heavy HE and SAP and concealment expert. This is the current build I am testing. So let's take a look at the main battery. So just like the previous video where we were looking at the American destroyer hull with a destroyer having cruiser guns, this is the exact opposite. A cruiser with destroyer guns. Now, Ferrante Gonzaga gets 12 of these 135mm guns, housed in 4 triple mounted gun turrets, 2 fore and 2 aft. You get a reload time of 7.5 seconds. They can rotate 180 degrees in 10.9 seconds, so quite fast. They have a max dispersion of 117 meters with a max firing range of 13.4 kilometers. Now you get access to high explosive and semi-armor piercing. The high explosive has a max damage of 2145, 11% chance of setting the target on fire, and these high explosive shells can pen 23 millimeters of armor and have a shell speed of 875 meters per second. The semi-armor piercing shells have the exact same shell speed. They can inflict a max damage of 3,355 with this build and can pen 38 millimeters of armor. So, quite decent. Ferrante Gonzaga also gets access to 2 torpedo tubes, 1 on each side, 2 X3 launchers, so 6 torpedoes in total. They have a max firing range of 20 kilometers, very high damage of 20,433, very fast torpedo speed of 72 knots, and they can be detected at 1.7 kilometers. And these torpedoes have a reload time of 120 seconds. When it comes to dealing with submarines, Ferrante Gonzaga gets ship-dropped depth charges. So you have a max damage of 3,200, 2 charges with 6 bombs per charge, and a reload time of 40 seconds. So very, very limited anti-submarine warfare capability. In terms of AA defense, Ferrante Gonzaga gets a rating of 68, 2 single-mounted 20mm guns, 2 twin-mounted 20mm, 4 twin-mounted 37mm, 12 twin-mounted 65mm, and the main battery guns are all dual-purpose, these 12 135mm guns. All combined, they pump out a continuous average damage of 265. You can see the numbers here. The vast majority is medium range out to 3.7 kilometers. Now, you can fire 2 shell explosions per flak salvo, but it does feel quite limited. Only 2, with a max damage of 1540. Priority sector reinforcement is 50%, and the firing range is 5.2 kilometers. In terms of maneuverability, Ferrante gets a base speed of 35 knots. This can be boosted to 36.8. You get an additional emergency engine power of 20%, quite significant, which can bring your straight line speed up over 44 knots when active, which is very, very fast for a cruiser. The turning circle radius is 600 meters and the rudder shift time is 8.9 seconds. Now finally, stats-wise, Ferrante Gonzaga gets a concealment rating of 77, which equates to a surface detection range of 8.9 kilometers. You will be surface detected by enemy subs and enemy aircraft at 5.2 kilometers. Now, having this great concealment is very, very strong indeed. Add in the fact that you get access to the exhaust smoke generator, allows you to be able to pull off some very funky maneuvers, getting quite close to the enemy at times, having great concealment and exhaust smoke. Add in the fact you get an absolutely excellent 5 kilometer firing penalty when you are in a smoke screen. So it'll be very, very difficult to get yourself detected while firing in these smokes, having this lower gun caliber. So this is the Ferrante Gonzaga, light cruiser with rapid firing DD guns. This is currently in testing. Now I must reiterate that during the testing process, Ferrante Gonzaga is subject to balancing changes. This is not the final edition. This is the current state of play in testing. So I hope you enjoyed this early little preview. Feel free to come over and visit me on Twitch if you'd like to see some live gameplay. You can see the link here on screen. I look forward to seeing you all.